Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dawn, and we are going to give participants about a minute or two to get into the webinar before I start and do a more formal introduction and then go through the presentation. So thank you for joining us today. We'll start the presentation in about a minute and a half. Good afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dawn Bond. I am the Director of Operational Services. My team and I have the honor and the pleasure of moving your student in every year. This webinar is going to overview some highlights from Move In. I do have a pretty comprehensive presentation here that lives on our website. I'm not going to go slide by slide because we do want to save more time than less on your questions. So I am going to get us started. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, but also give me a minute to go through some things and I may answer your question. So here we go. Your student found out where they were living last year. I mean, last week. I apologize. Monday, August 3rd, last week, your student found out where they were living. This week is move-in reservation. Students have been logging on to the housing portal and making their move-in reservation beginning Monday through this Thursday. What I can tell you is that we have about half of our student population has not made a move-in reservation. We will be doing a reminder email today to all the students who haven't made a move-in reservation. So check with your student that they've done so. If they don't make a move-in reservation on their own by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, August 13th, we will assign a time, and that will be the time that we will expect them to arrive. So that is this week. I am going to skip forward now to primarily talk about these 3 days, day 1, day 2, and day 3, where we do the assisted move-in process for our campus. There are certainly other categories of folks, and we can answer those questions directly, or you can take a look at the whole presentation, but we have some transitions happening on August 28th, and then early arrivals coming in on the 31st. There are 3 types of move-in. There are minute movers who do assisted move-in days. There are professional movers who also support our move-in process on assisted move-in days. And there are unassisted move-ins. Unassisted move-ins are where you move yourself in. So I think these 3 pictures are a nice visualization. This is a team of minute movers moving families in, helping unload the cars, pushing the bins to either the elevator or the closest stairwell. This is a picture of our professional moving company, University and Student Services, and they take full chain of custody of the belongings. The family doesn't even get out of the car in this scenario. And then this is a picture of a family who's moving themselves in unassisted move-in. This is what this year's boarding pass will look like. We have transitioned to a new housing portal this year. And so this is an updated version of the boarding pass that your student will be expected to print from the housing portal in the area where they've made their move-in reservation. We've got some great resources online for you and your student about what to bring. There's a very comprehensive list that you may want to look through. We also have 3 things that I'd like to highlight today. We have a relationship with Microfridge, which is a company that your student can either buy or rent a microfridge unit from that has a microwave, a freezer, and a refrigerator all in one unit. Those are delivered to the student room in our in almost all cases, waiting for you upon arrival. New to you is the giant tag sale that we will host on Saturday of Labor Day weekend. And the items that are being sold at the New to You tag sale are items that students from last year may move out, donated, and we have cleaned up and are selling back to different students. And then the luggage program is a program for our out of state and international families to ship boxes ahead of time, not third party shipping that needs to come directly from you. The rules and regulations can be found on this link about how to access the luggage program. We also do our very best to try to get the luggage that's shipped to us and held at the distribution center into the student rooms before they arrive. There are also a list of things not to bring, and I'll leave that for you to take a look at. They are oftentimes life and hall safety items, fire hazards typically. There are some essentials, and one essential that I'd like to emphasize is that most of our residence halls are not air conditioned, with the exception of North Apartments and Commonwealth Honors College residential community. All other residence halls are not air conditioned, and so you'll want to consider bringing a fan or two so you can move the air around and particularly pull in cooler air during the nighttime. If you wait to get a fan in the local area, I cannot guarantee that those haven't transitioned out for seasonal purposes. Fans are usually available in the spring and early summer. By the time we open here in Amherst, that section's usually Halloween decorations. So there may not be fans available in the local area. So you'll want to bring that with you. We do have a one car rule where during assisted move-in days and really truly during unassisted move-in days, because if everybody bought two cars, we would come to a grinding halt. But during assisted move-in, we only allow one car access to the unload zone, and that car will be unloaded by either minute movers or professional movers. And so please make sure that the car that the student's in has as many belongings as you can. There are certainly very good reasons to bring a second car. And if you do end up bringing a second car, the second car will be directed to a parking lot adjacent to the residence hall area where your student lives. It will not be allowed at the unload zone, nor will we give you a bin to push items from that parking lot to the room. And so this is a good example from several years ago where someone didn't get our notice about the one car rule. And so the family is pulled off behind the football stadium and they're resituating that one of the cars to have more belongings in it and then moving people into the car that won't have access. If you do put some items in the second car, you will be carrying them from the parking lot. And this is a good example of put the light things in the second car if you feel like you need things in the second car so that they're more easily carried in. I think this is a great time to talk about elevators. There are many buildings on our campus that do not have elevators. So that's obvious. We'll be walking upstairs and moving in, pushing the bins to the closest stairwell and then walking up the stairs. The halls that do have elevators, it isn't a guarantee that dependent on where your student's room is, whether we will be using the elevator or not. To move an entire building in an 8-hour period, we cannot use the elevator for every single room. And so it's usually the higher floors in residence halls that will use the elevator and lower floors will push to closest stairwell and carry in. We also provide a check-in shuttle for students that are coming by bus or Uber or Lyft. And this is a picture of last year's shuttle at the Brommery Center for the Arts. On day one and day two this year, this shuttle will be staged on Mass Ave out by the flagpoles because the Haggis Mall will be closed off for the carnival setup. The carnival will be Thursday evening. And so the Brommery Center for the Arts shuttle will be on Mass Ave. And this is for students coming in by bus or Lyft or Uber. Will take your student the last mile through the check-in process and get them and their belongings to their residence hall. We will also pick you up at the UMass Hotel, and the pickup for that is at Flint Circle. Now I'm going to scroll ahead a little bit quickly because these are very specific to groups that are either already here or are moving in early, and those are not typically people who come to my webinar. So I'm going to go to move-in day, centralized move-in, day 1, day 2, day 3, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and talk a little bit about how check-in works on each side. We're going to start with East Check-in. East Check-in is for students living in Northeast, North Apartments, Sylvan, Orchard Hill, or Central residential communities. We take over a very large parking lot on the north end of campus behind North Apartments and Sylvan residential area. And this is where we check in students, placard the cars, and give a little snack from dining. New this year, and I'm really excited about this for families moving in on the east side, we have developed in collaboration with Google Maps, a customizable map depending on where you're coming from so that you can build your route for use in your phone on your way to campus to get to the 2 check-in locations. The west check-in location is a little easier to figure out because it's the football stadium and that's a pretty big building and space on our campus. East check-in, this lot isn't as intuitive. And so you can build your get directions using the link on our website to get very specific directions depending on where you're coming from and where your student lives. So on the east side of campus, you come in from the north, down North Pleasant, up North Drive, and the first thing that you experience on the east side is the student being issued their key and the cars being placarded. If a second car is coming, please have the second car follow the primary car into the check-in process because we will also placard the second car. Depending on where your student lives, will determine the parking instructions for that second car and for the car after it's unloaded. All of that information is on our website, and we do encourage people who are the drivers to do a little bit of early recon so that you have a familiarity with how the campus will be operating on your day of arrival. The second stop on the east side is our fantastic colleagues from UMass Dining are giving out snack bags for the whole car, just in case there's a little bit of waiting in the next phase. And the next phase is what we call car call up. And this is where we hold cars until we can provide a spot for it in the unload zone. And so cars will line up in a building order. So there's a line for every separate building that's moving in that day. And as the spots open in the unload zones, we're in radio contact and we will send cars to be unloaded. On the east side of campus, you'll, depending on the day, and again, this is why I'm encouraging folks to take a look at the driving directions for each day for your arrival day, are either leaving out behind Sylvan or maybe leaving out on one day by North Apartments. And so it does vary depending on the day because either we're moving in North or moving in Sylvan. So that does change. On the east side of campus, because the parking for the second car and the unloaded car is a little bit further away than we would like, it's down here on Governor's Drive in lots 68 and 31. We operate a shuttle that roams all day long up and down Eastman Lane to Governor's Drive where you're parking, and you can jump on the shuttle after you've brought the car down or parked the second car, or maybe you are taking the shuttle back to the car when you're departing for the day. The shuttle stops outside of Topman and Northeast residential area, and then it stops again outside of Sylvan residential area, and then goes up to the top of Eastman Lane and turns around at the UMass Police Department. There's a picture of our shuttle. I think it looks different this year, though. They've gotten a new van. West check-in. So for students that are checking in for Southwest or Commonwealth Honors College, you will check in what we call West check-in. West check-in comes in off of Route 116. It doesn't matter what direction you're coming from, you will eventually get onto 116 and then come off on the Mass Ave and turn onto Stadium Drive. Stadium Drive is the ring road that goes all the way around the sports fields and the football stadium. On the west side, you see dining first. Second step is for the key to be issued and the placards to be placed. And then car call up is the same. It's the last stop. All cars leaving West check-in will leave out of Dallas Mall to University Drive and make their way to either Southwest or Honors College. Second cars for Southwest will park right here. So they actually get routed right over to the parking lot. And then second cars for Honors College get parked in lot 12. just down the street on Com Ave from Commonwealth Honors College. This is a fun video you can watch on your own, but it's start to finish, a car moving in on the east side of campus. After your arrival, your student will receive what is called a room condition form and tell us how the room looked and if there were any problems with the room. They should also report any significant problems using the online service request. We have staff here. We're extra staffed up during move-in week so that we can respond to things quickly. The online service request should be submitted for routine items. And one thing that I'd like to also talk about is if you're thinking about lofting or bunking the beds in the room and changing the configuration of the room like these two students did here, they bunked their beds, be very aware of the fact that there are sprinkler heads in every single residence hall and they're highly sensitive, which is what you want when you have a sprinkler head. And so if the edge of this bed end touched that sprinkler head, it would activate the sprinkler head. And so do an look survey of the room before you start moving furniture around, especially if you're lofting or bunking the beds and changing their configuration. Definitely explore your new home. There are hydration stations in every hall, oftentimes more than one, a laundry room or laundry rooms in the building, depending on the the configuration for that space, a small kitchen, rec space. We do still deliver letter mail into mailboxes. Those mailbox banks are typically in the lobby or first floor of the building, with the exception of Honors College. Honors College mailboxes are adjacent to the residential service desk, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And then trash and recycling rooms or carols outside the building. Your student will want to navigate that. They're responsible for emptying their own room trash and sorting recycling and putting that in the right receptacles. In some buildings, the trash rooms are indoors. In some buildings, the trash areas are outdoors. The emergency maintenance number, which is covered 24/7, 365 days a year, is 413-545-6401. If anything's happening during move-in that warrants an emergency call, please call us. Perhaps the toilet is continuously flushing, something's flooding, a sink won't turn on or off, a lock won't work in the door properly, glass is broken, a window doesn't secure properly. Those are all considered emergency maintenance, and you should call that in, and we have 24/7 dispatch that will come out immediately. I mentioned the residential service desks. There are 8 of them. Each service desk services a group of buildings on campus. This is where your student would go if they need help learning how to open their mailbox. The mailbox combinations are a little tricky. You've got to give it a couple of tries until it feels comfortable and intuitive. So opening the mailbox, checking for letter mail is important. This is where students go to get a backup key if they've misplaced their key, or a temp card if the U-Card office is not open and they've lost their U-Card. We can issue a temp card. All residence halls are locked 24/7, and the only door that students are able to use after move-in happens is the main door for the building, and they will need either their U-Card or a temp card to get in and out of the building. And more importantly, the most important and most often used reason for this residential service desks is this is where students go to pick up packages, except unless they've shipped through Amazon. And new this year, we have 6 banks of lockers on our campus for Amazon to deliver packages straight into those lockers. And then you would get notified by Amazon that you have a package. Package delivery is very heavy the first couple of weeks of the semester. So if there's anything you can do to avoid sending something unless it's absolutely needed, please do so. This is an actual mail room in one of our residential service desks, and you can see we're a little buried here. We processed over 300,000 packages last year. So there are some prohibited items and parameters for how you would ship, and also the address for your student's residence hall can be found on our website at the link in this presentation. And that takes us to our final slide, where I've included our email and our telephone number. We would love for you to get in touch with us after this webinar if you have questions that come up later. And it's also where you would call anytime during the year to speak with somebody connected to the residential services area. So I'm going to take some questions now, and I'm going to go to my team first and see if there's any themes out here that I should address because I haven't talked about it.
Hi, Don. Thank you. So a lot of folks on with us today are early arrivals and just asking about how it's different from the assisted days, such as elevators, bins, and assistants.
Great, I'm on it. Okay, so early move-in day, early arrivals is an unassisted move-in day. I want those words to come up, so give me a second. Okay, perfect. This is a great example of a family moving into honors college as an unassisted move-in. They have signed out one bin. You can only sign out one bin on unassisted move-in days. We know that it may take more than one bin to unload the car, but you'll do multiple trips or maybe do some things in the bin that are heavier and carry some items or wheel some other items like suitcases side by side with the bin. So if you are an early arrival, it means that you've either requested to come in early or you're part of a group that's approved to come in early. You will drive to your residence hall and park in a spot that's available. Your student will go to the residential service desk affiliated to that building and get their key and get checked in. And that's also where they would sign out the bin in some cases, but also on actual early arrival day, August 31st, there will be bin stations in each of the residential areas where you would go. And we have many, many more bins available to be signed out. You will have 20 minutes in the unload zone to unload the car, and then you'll move the car to a designated parking lot. Yes, the elevators are available during unassisted move-in days. They can be more available than perhaps on a assisted move-in day, especially if you're in a building where there is an elevator and we're saying that we're not using the elevator for you. There will be lines for the elevator, and so I want to strongly encourage you to consider whether you'd be willing to walk up a couple of flights of stairs versus wait for an elevator, particularly in a tower, because someone who lives on the 20th floor certainly isn't going to walk if they don't have to. But someone on the second or third floor, it might be a shorter unload for you if you just walk the items in. Were there any other questions that I didn't hit in that
Yeah.
early arrival overview?
Yeah, so the student is coming as an early arrival, and then they're wondering if the parent can have a assisted reservation on day 1 through 3 to bring the rest of the items to the student.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
No, no, the answer is no. Your student can only have one move-in reservation, and we only want to move you in once. And so if they are coming early, then you would want to make your plan for that. And then during assisted move-in, the buildings are offline for moving other students in during those day 1, day 2, and day 3. You certainly are able to come back after hours, so after 6 p.m. to do another drop off or anytime on the Labor Day weekend to bring additional items. And so those are the strategies you'll want to use if there are additional items coming for your early arrival student.
Sure. So question about if the elevators are large enough to bring furniture pieces into.
Great question. So each room comes with a bed, mattress, desk, chair, oftentimes a three-drawer dresser and a closet or place to hang clothing. And so we really, yes, furniture, the elevators are large enough for additional pieces of furniture. I would hesitate to encourage you too much around bringing large items in. I know that there's smaller pieces like some extra storage containers that are very typical that people will bring in, or perhaps a different desk chair for use because that's what your students use too. But big sofas or soft cushioned furniture, there really isn't a lot of space for that in the rooms.
So a little shift in topic. Can you talk about how far the parking is from the hall, and are there any shuttles?
Mhm. So on the east side of campus, there is a shuttle that will operate all day long on assisted move-in days, and the shuttle stops are from the parking lots on Governor's Drive. This is where we would pick you up for Northeast, Sylvan, or North. So not everybody that checks in on the east side will be using this shuttle because it would make no sense for Central or Orchard Hill residents to be this far away parking. Okay, so this is for Northeast, Sylvan, and North. The bus stop is right out here on Governor's Drive. It makes two stops. A stop at Northeast and a stop at Sylvan, or Northeast North, I guess I'll say, and then at Sylvan. This is the only shuttle we operate for families to navigate from where they've parked the car or that's been unloaded, or where they have parked a second car. The exception to that is that we do run an ADA shuttle for someone who has a medical or disability reason to need the ADA shuttle. It is equipped to take on a wheelchair. And if the ADA shuttle is required, what I'd like you to do is give our email address an email so we can provide you with additional information about how to arrange that for your arrival day 1, day 2, or day 3. All the other parking locations, in my opinion, are walkable and are as close to the residential area as we could have gotten you. So for Southwest, it's just below in lots 22 and 33. For Honors College, it's lot 12. If you're over in the Orchard Hill Upper Central area, it's lots 49. And there's another one, Sarah, that I'm going to forget. Is it 29 or? Here's the good news. Every single detail about parking instructions is on our website, and it goes by day and by hall where cars are parked. And I'm going to see if we have that link. I don't want to link to mail, so I'm not going to do that. Yep. I'm going to go away from this webinar. So this is the fall move-in page. You're going to go to the tab called Driving Directions. And that's where you are going to find tons and tons of information so that you can prepare for your arrival day. Driving directions to the check-in locations. This is where I shared that we've created the new option to build your own personalized move-in directions. That's right here. Or going back. This is where I might get stuck. There's also instructions for how to where each car parks, and yeah,
John, if you just move down just a little bit further, you'll see the rest of the directions. You'll see a little
perfect.
accordion.
Okay, perfect. Driving and parking maps are here. Second car parking directions are here. Information about the shuttle is here. So lots and lots of information on the website for how to navigate your arrival day. Other questions?
Yep. So folks are asking, what if we're running late or we get there a little early? Like, what are you expecting us to arrive with our assisted reservation time?
Yep. Those are 30-minute time blocks, and we are hoping you are arriving as close to that 30 minutes window as possible. But if you're 15 minutes early, keep on coming. If you're running 15 minutes late, come on in. We stagger the traffic in, but we know that it's not precise, and we know that there might be something that makes you run a little early or run a little late. Now, coming a couple of hours early, because that's really when you wanted to move in, won't work. We do need people to stay as close to as they can to their 30-minute window, and certainly just go to the check-in location and we'll get you checked in if you're running a little early or a little late. It looks like we've been keeping up with questions.
There were some questions about how to sign up for a move-in reservation. Are you able to talk to that?
I'll do my best. So your students going to go to the StarRez housing portal, and they are going to navigate to the move-in reservation button. And that is where they are going to, dependent on who they are, what building they live in, and how we have them coded in our system. And the reason I say it that way is because if we know you're coming as an early arrival, you're only going to see move-in times for early arrival day. But if you're not coded for anything and you're simply coming in as a first year student on the day that we're moving your building in, you will see times that are available that have not already been selected. It's important to just make the distinction here, because I didn't mention it earlier, that when using the professional moving company, which is our Southwest Towers, all of Honors College, and all of Sylvan residential area, that moving company, in order to be as efficient as they are, move the building in by floor. And so the options for choosing a move-in time are much narrower. Sometimes it's only an hour, an 8 or an 8:30 or a 10 or a 10:30. In some cases, it might have a few more options in buildings like Sylvan or Honors College. And so your student is essentially assigned a time with some options between a couple of choices. And again, that's so that University and Student Services is able to move the building in efficiently. If your student is living in a building where minute movers will move you in during assisted move-in days, there are wider options from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Some options may have filled. We started move-in reservation on Monday, August 10th. And so there may be some more popular time blocks filled already, and your student wouldn't see those options. If for any reason you're choosing to do unassisted move-in and not coming in on the day that we've determined for your building, your student's building, then there's also the button to select an unassisted move-in time, and that will show evening times on each of the move-in days or times throughout all 3 days of Labor Day weekend. There is an awesome tutorial on our website on how to navigate the move-in reservation. And I probably don't know. Oh, there it is. Watch the video tutorial if your student's not sure what they're doing. The housing portal, though, I think has a really nice dashboard on it, and it's fairly intuitive, the steps that students need to take to make their move-in reservation. There are a couple of warnings that should be read before students get going, but not a lot of text to read. And then after your student makes their move-in reservation, closer to when they're actually going to move in, they should click on the button to print their boarding pass.
Don, right now, that is all of the questions that are live.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's important, one of my team is reminding me to remind you that all students, every student that lives in residence must make a move-in reservation. So RAs who are moving in about a week and a half, you might think to yourself, well, why would they make a move-in reservation? They know they're coming, they work for them. We use a move-in reservation for RAs, same reason as everybody else. We want to stagger that traffic in. We don't want to overload any one unload zone. And so every single type of student, no matter what day they're moving in on or who they are, what building they're moving in, they make a move-in reservation. And again, if your student does not make a move-in reservation by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, August 13th, we will assign a time, and that will become your move-in time. That will be the time that you'll make a plan around to come to campus. So please talk with your student if you're not sure they've done so.
Don, question about if you forget your boarding pass, what does that look like?
So I was going to try to be funny and say we were going to send you home, but we're not. We're not going to send you home. We're going to work around that. What we would like your student to do is bring the boarding pass up on their phone prior to arriving on campus. And the reason I say it that way is because the cellular service, particularly around the football stadium, can be less reliable. So I don't want you to wait till you get to the west check-in location or even lot 44 east check-in, and then want your student to try to get that cellular signal. And so if you've realized at some point on your trip here that your student doesn't have their boarding pass, have them bring it up on their phone so that we can scan the QR code from their phone. But we'd really much prefer the paper version of the boarding pass for our staff working out in the two check-in locations to scan in relationship to the technology that we're using. Any new questions?
Just reviewing them right now.
Yeah.
So it's a second car question. My son's bringing his car. It's a small car, so can we park it in a different lot and then put him in our car? How would that work?
You can do that if you have room for them. So absolutely. Or someone else can drive his car, park it in the lot that we are using for move-in that day, which again is, have the second car always follow the primary car. And then the driver of that car park the car. We want the student in the primary car that we're checking them in to giving their key to and putting the placard on for the unload zone, because the student is the only one who we issue the key to, and you'll need the key to get into the room with the stuff when you get to the residence hall. And so you may want to rethink who's driving your son's car. Or switch as soon as you get closer to campus, because if the second car driver isn't the student, they can simply park the second car and walk over, and usually within the time they're probably still unloading the car before you would, or maybe even good news for you, the stuff will be upstairs and you'll just start unpacking from that point. And many students do have their own car and will bring a second car. So please keep in mind too that they may not be parking in the lot that they have a permit for if it's lot 11 or lot 44. Lot 11 is offline for us to do car call up for West check-in, and most of lot 44 is offline for us to do East check-in. And so eventually your student will be able to park in their permitted lot, but they may be somewhere displaced. They'll get a memo from parking about where to park if they're here for a few days while we're still using their lot.
Don, will we unload a U-Haul?
We will. I hope it's not full, because that's just too much stuff. Definitely too much stuff. And don't forget there's a roommate with stuff too. But certainly if it's a car that's this full of passengers and you've got a small U-Haul on the back and that's your students' belongings, yes, we will unload a small U-Haul. There's something about hot water here, Sarah, that has my interest now.
I did not
Oh,
see that one.
yeah. Can I bring an electric kettle with an automatic shut-off option? I think that is allowed. I think that we may have told you the wrong answer on that, but go ahead and look at the prohibitive items. I think with the automatic shut-off, it does become an allowed item. The same is true for coffee makers. So that if it has an automatic shut-off, so it basically can't stay hot forever because someone's forgotten to turn it off. So that I do think is allowable. So I'm glad I noticed that. So that students can either heat up water for tea or make coffee in their room. That is allowed.
Yep, so someone's asking if on early arrival day, if the dining halls will be open, and I believe it's going to be Hampshire and Worcester that will be open for early arrival time.
I agree.
And then all four DCs will be open once assisted move-in days begin.
Correct. That is correct.
That is it for unanswered questions at this
Okay.
time.
Okay. Great. We're about 5 minutes from end time anyhow. And so I want to encourage you, if a question comes up later, and we haven't answered it for someone else here and it's still outlying for you, please call or email. We are staying right on top of our incoming email. It's been a very busy week, but I'm proud to say that this team is strong and they've been working really hard to keep emails answered and closed out so that we're answering your questions in short time. So please let us know if you have future questions by sending us an email. We are thankful that you joined us today for this webinar, and we wish you a great day, and we'll see you soon. Just a few weeks, you'll be moving in. Thank you.